Saya takkan hire you sebab you adalah kaum-kaum ABC. So my name is Jason. I'm the co-founder and executive director for Architects Diversity. We're a non-profit group focusing on racial and religious cohesion, justice, and anti-discrimination practices. The amendment to the Employment Act in 2022 mainly gave the power for the Director General of Human Resources to receive complaints and investigate. It didn't necessarily put penalties, or it didn't necessarily put positive obligations on companies to prevent discrimination. We just do not have a law on this yet. For job seekers, for people who are looking for employment, who have not entered a contract of employment yet, they are not protected. So we do need some form of laws that will help job seekers gain more protections. I think is the first thing, but also having a grievance mechanisms, right? So yes, it is very difficult, right? You know, even if you the potential employer doesn't tell it to their face, saying, saya takkan hire you sebab you adalah kaum-kaum ABC, right? But in the case where they do suspect systemic, or they do suspect that it is racism, where they were not hired because of their race, then they have a mechanism through the state to complain, and then investigation can take place then. So other than race itself, and religion as well, right? So one instance, I think everyone is quite aware of this, is that, for example, Malaysian Airlines doesn't allow the stewardess to wear the tudung. And so that's been a huge tension point, and in my opinion, can be categorized as quite discriminatory on a religious basis. On the gender aspect, we know that a lot of gender discrimination happens at the wage level. We haven't had many studies done about this in Malaysia, so I cannot be specific about what happens here in Malaysia. But I think globally, what's been demonstrated is that because women are systematically not less in leadership roles, where the culture makes it more difficult to negotiate for their pay, as well as the return to work after you bersalin, after you gave birth. When you come back to work, you are faced with more disadvantages. And so a lot of wage discrimination happens at the gender level. In terms of PWDs, persons with disabilities, I mean, I can't even begin to articulate, right? I mean, we have very weak laws over that. And the government itself hasn't even fulfilled its obligation to hire more PWDs in the system. So I think PWD systemic barriers to access is even more, and it's perhaps even difficult to identify a pattern because we haven't even gotten to that level yet. One of the stories that was very public on the news was that when a Kadazan youth was looking for a place to rent in KL, you text the agent and they give all these blank things to fill up, right? And one of it is race, and so he fills in Kadazan. And then the agent replies, "Oh, sorry, we only want Malaysians." And I think that really goes to show the level of our civic education. So I think at least on the very first level, we need to improve civic education, especially when it comes to bridging this West and East Malaysia divide. One example is I was going to a company to help them run their Merdeka program. And you know, in West Malaysia, it's always like Malay, Chinese, Indian, and then line, right? Even when companies choose which holidays to celebrate and choose which days to either give more leave perhaps, or to make it a focal point, I think having better recognition for Sabah and Sarawak and its culture and celebrations, especially being seen at the workplace, that's really important. I think that's a conversation we haven't even gotten there yet. Sometimes employees, people interviewing, don't even know what is discriminatory or not. I think I recently had a friend tell me about an interview story where midway in the interview, the interviewer goes, starts asking the job questions and starts asking about her personal life. How many siblings do they have? Where did their family come from? To compare and contrast, right? In the US, it would be completely illegal to ask that level of information because that can induce bias, right? When you know the person's background where it's not relevant to the actual job. One example I think most Malaysians can empathize with, you still need to hantar gambar yang letak dekat resume. I think the more objective questions like, how is that relevant for hiring a job unless you want to discriminate someone based on their looks? But for many people, employees who are in charge of hiring and in charge of promotions, they don't know why those are problematic yet. What Architects of Diversity is working on right now is we're hoping, together with our corporate partners, to develop what is a fair employment code. So what are a set of practices? More in detail. So I know sometimes there are very broad statements, right? Like, we won't be discriminatory. But what are specific practices, especially in the Malaysian context, that needs to be taken and put into place in order to create a more inclusive environment? But I hope, at least through our statistics that we've released, that there's more discussion around discrimination in employment.